Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1417B, and today's date is November 5th, 2017, and the title of the episode is Something Big is About to Happen That Hasn't Happened Since 2011. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Rob Kirby. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It'll bring you right to the video. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com site or NewSentinel.com site. And all you need to do is scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You'll see the video there. You can play it right on the site. Or you can go to Steemit. That's steemit.com/@X22Report. And you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, it looks like more and more information is coming out about the Uranium 1 deal, and it looks like an internet researcher has uncovered what appears to be proof that the FBI was investigating the Uranium 1 deal back in 2015, months after the Peter Schweizer book, The Clinton Cash, exposed the scheme. Now, Twitter user Katka, who notably discovered Hillary Clinton's IT guy StoneTier asking Reddit users how to strip Clinton's name from archived emails, discovered several preservation and records requests sent by an FBI special agent to various agencies involved in the approval of the Uranium 1 deal on August 28, 2015. As first published by the conservative Treehouse. Now, Katka found the request buried in an FBI file released via the Freedom of Information Act. Now, what Katka discovered is that weeks after the criminal probe began, the FBI sent notices to every agency involved in the Uranium 1 approval process to preserve records. Now, this is huge. 5 days after their initial request, the same FBI agent sent another round of notifications to the same agencies, adding the National Security Agency and the U.S. Secret Service. The next day, September 3rd, 2015, 3 more agencies were added to the preservation request: the CIA, the Defense and Intelligence Agency, and the Department of Defense. At this point, every single member of the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, which signed off on the Uranium 1 deal, was served with a notice to preserve the records. Now, as the conservative Treehouse notes, it would be intellectually dishonest not to see the very likely attachment of the special agent's action. That is to say that an FBI probe originating as an outcome of information retrieved in parallel to the timing of the criminal probe of Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's email use. So while the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton was sold as a simple matter of mishandling of classified material, we now have proof that the FBI set their sights on the Uranium 1 scandal weeks after they began looking into Hillary Clinton's emails. We also know that the 5 FBI field offices and the IRS have been investigating the Clinton Foundation on accusations of pay-to-play and other criminal acts. And we're starting to see from all the information that's coming out, we're getting more and more information on what is really going on here. Now, the FBI has turned over hundreds of pages of new Clinton probe documents, and we can see that this is really starting to build. Now, on the case of the Trump dossier, McCain's aide, who handled the Trump dossier, who's been subpoenaed, well, actually, he's been dodging the subpoena, well, he doesn't want to get involved, and he doesn't want to talk about the dossier whatsoever, and he's continually dodging the subpoena. Now, we can see why he is doing this, because this would implicate him, it would implicate McCain, and it would bring out a lot more information. So the best plan is not to say anything and dodge the subpoena. And we can see that we have the cabal on one end, where they're pushing their objective. They're saying that they have a lot of information about Flynn and Flynn's son, and Mueller has enough information to go ahead and indict Flynn and his son. And again, if they have all this information, why didn't they just do it? Why does it have to come out in the news first? Because they're saying, oh, another leak here. Why didn't they just push their investigation and go forward with what they have? There's no reason to leak this information if they have so much of it. But we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. We see the Catalan leader, well, he's turning himself into Belgian police. And there are other 4 ministers who are also turning themselves into the Belgian authorities to start the process of their possible extradition to Spain. And we see right now that they are pushing hard to put this whole thing to rest here, where, listen, there's going to be no independence, there's going to be no movement whatsoever, and Catalonia is not going to be doing anything. And once again, we'll have to watch to see how this all plays out. But it looks like the establishment is saying absolutely not. You cannot push for independence. We're not going to let it happen. We see Trump is out in Asia right now. He's landing in Japan, and he is out there talking about North Korea. And we need to understand what might happen at this point, because we know that the South Korean news agency, which is really the corporate media, which is controlled by the cabal, they're pushing the idea that North Korea is getting ready for another test. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if a missile or something maybe flies near Japan and they push this into something bigger than it really is. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe some type of an event while Trump is out in Asia to try to push this war. Because remember, what do we have going on right now? We have Syria, where that is a dead end for the cabal unless they have some major event, because we see Russia and Syria. It's just a matter of weeks before the cabal is out of that area. Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Sudan, Somalia, all falling apart for the cabal. All they have left is to push war with Iran, which I don't think is going to work. The other thing they have is North Korea. And if they can have or stage some type of an event with Trump out in this area where it looks like Kim Jong-un is aiming for him, and of course they can make this happen, this is something where they can push something much larger, like trying to get the U.S. into war with North Korea or to invade North Korea. And this is something that we need to watch. And we can see right now that Trump is visiting Japan, and during his tour, he's saying that most likely he's going to meet with Putin to talk about what is happening with North Korea, China, Russia, and the rest. And I'm sure there's going to be talks behind the scenes, because we know what Russia, China, Trump, and many others are really trying to do there. They're not trying to wage war. They're trying to calm the situation down. They're trying to have peace, and this is why they're using the back channels. This is why they've been doing it in private, and I believe we have Tillerson and Trump playing good cop, bad cop to keep the corporate media spinning, thinking that we are headed towards war. We also see something very interesting happening that we haven't seen since 2011. Now, we understand out in Syria, Russia and Syria, they've been clearing the paid mercenary, which is the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda. They have no chance at this point. There's just a matter of weeks before the entire country is completely liberated from these terrorist groups. Now, we have a U.S. official which is now traveling to Damascus. It's an unnamed official right now. Nobody's talking about who it really is. And they're going to be meeting with Syria's national security chief in Damascus. Now, this hasn't been done since the start of the civil war in 2011, where they were talking to Syria, the government of Syria, saying, listen, there's going to be an uprising. You need to let these people join the government, because eventually what they wanted to happen is we're going to have these individuals join the government, and they were going to get rid of Assad, because Assad wouldn't allow the pipeline through his country. So what we're seeing right now is, since the United States is on the losing end, the cabal, the U.S. is now talking to Damascus. Now, because as we know, in a couple of weeks, Syria, Russia, they're going to ask the U.S. and the coalition to leave the country. And we'll have to see how this plays out and what happens out in Damascus. And once again, we see that things are definitely changing, because now they're meeting with the government of Syria once again. So they're already confirming that they are the government, because since 2011, all this time, they really didn't want to meet with these individuals. They didn't want to meet with them. They said Assad is not a leader. He's not really the government. And they denounced him over and over and over. Very interestingly, bin Laden's declassified files, they just vanished from the CIA website. A collection of about 470,000 declassified documents that used to belong to Al-Qaeda, the Osama bin Laden, which we know is an agent of the CIA. Same thing with Al-Qaeda. All of a sudden, it disappeared. Now, they're saying this is a technical glitch. Don't worry, the documents will be back. But who knows? We'll have to wait to see what really happened here. Are they removing them? Are they hiding something? We don't know. But most of these documents are fake, phony, and false, which they created. And maybe this is why they took them down, because what we're starting to see is a lot of the truth is starting to come out, and they're starting to cover their tracks. Now, we know the U.S., the cabal, they have tricked us into this war on terror. And this is manufactured. Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, the mass shootings, and all these different things, all these false flags. This has cost the people of America about $250 million a day for 16 years. And when you add all this up, it looks like it turns out to be about $1.3 trillion. And we can see that a lot of this money was pushed in many different areas, never to be seen again. A lot of people got paid off, and the war complex made a lot of money off of this, and many individuals made a lot of money off of this because of all the scanners, the detectors, all the different organizations that got involved in this. They were paid off, and once again, this whole thing was completely made up. It was fake, phony, and false. And the American people, well, they're the ones who've had to pay for all this, because all of this money was borrowed from the Federal Reserve. And look where we are today. $20.5 trillion in debt. Now, if you add in all the unfunded liabilities, it's around $200 trillion. But if you just take the $20 trillion, we're $20 trillion in debt for all of this made-up stuff. And guess what? We can't pay for it anymore. And that's why the whole system is coming down. It's all unsustainable. It cannot be sustained. It's impossible. And eventually, just like your family, if you had credit card debt of $100,000, you were making $30,000 a year, and you weren't getting raises, and you had to pay the interest payments on this debt, you have to take out more debt to pay the interest payments. It's a never-ending cycle. It can't be sustained. This is why people, this is why corporations go bankrupt. Governments who can't handle this, they default. Look at Venezuela. Look at Argentina. Look at Greece. Look at all these different countries throughout history. When they couldn't handle the debt and money printing kept on happening, they defaulted. They saw inflation. This is what we're going to see, not just here in the United States, but around the world. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.